Welcome friends. In the previous class I discussed about the environmental issues and various pollutions, namely water pollution, soil pollution, air pollution. In continuation to that, so now in this class I will be discussing on the environmental waste. So environmental waste, what are the environmental waste, how it come, how we are managing it, how we are managing the solid waste, how we are managing the liquid waste, how we are tackling those technological issues. So those things we will be discussing. Then I will be discussing on the certain aspect of climate change and their policies to mitigate the climate change. So those things we will be discussing in this particular class. Well, when we talk about the environmental waste, we have different types of waste. We have solid waste and liquid waste, basically these two classifications which we do in the waste. So as per the article 47 of the Indian Constitution, we requires not only state to protect the environment but seek the improvement in polluted environments. So we have as per the Constitution of Government of India and the directive principle of state policies, the directive states of principle of state policies says that the state has to not only protect the environment, it has to improve the wherever the pollution is there. Wherever pollution is there, that area has to be improved by state with the support of central government, with the help of central government and with the help of Ministry of Environment and Forest. Okay, waste is defined as any substance which constitute a scrap material or an effluent or other unwanted surplus substance arising from application of any processes, which arising from any processes. Okay, that may be different, it may be industrial process, it may be a domestic process, it may be a agriculture process, or it may be any kind of e-waste, or whatever the processes, through that processes whatever the unwanted material or scrap material which we are getting, that is called as waste, that is called as waste. So we have different types of waste. Mainly we have a biodegradable waste and non-biodegradable waste. So biodegradable waste means anything which can degrade in the environment naturally by the help of microbes or by the help of any kind of organisms like earthworm and fungus and any other organisms which involved in the degradation of organic matter. So such biodegradable waste is called like food residues, human excreta, and agriculture wastages. So those things will be certain agriculture wastes, those things will be considered as biodegradable waste because these have capacity to degrade themselves by the help of microbes, by the help of microbial biota. Okay, so we have non-degradable wastes are there. Non-degradable wastes are nothing but they do not degrade in the environment if you throw it. So say for example, the products of petroleum, the plastics and glasses and heavy metals and we have like toxic substance, non-degradable polychemicals, like many long chain compounds. So those compounds are not able to degrade as such in the environment. Okay, such non-biodegradable substance or waste has to be monitored or which has to be maintained or which has to be disposed in a proper way. It has to be disposed in a proper way. Then coming to the biomedical waste. The biomedical waste means anything which the materials which left over in the hospitals, and it may be a syringes, it may be a needles, it may be a tablets, it may be a gloves and many other substances which are hazardous and non-hazardous in that material. If you take the biomedical waste, in that certain compounds will be hazardous and some certain compounds are not hazardous. So okay, so such compounds are has to be taken a particular way, it has to be recycled, or it has to be disposed in a using a proper technologies. Okay. Then we have a major problem of today, currently we have a major problem of e-waste management. E-waste management means all the electronic wastes, all the electronic wastes, from electronic gadgets to all computer, laptop, mobiles, all the home domestic accessories like mixie, like other electronic items, like all the electronic item has become today has the biggest problem to the developing and developed countries. So, okay. So, it is a problem of not only developing countries, it is a problem of developed nations as well. So, therefore, these e-waste has to be managed in a very proper way. So, how it has to be managed? So, these things we will be discussing in the here. Then what are the source of wastes, where these wastes will come? Number one, we have the major share will be comes from the domestic waste. Domestic waste means polythene, bottles, food and other cotton substances and many agricultural wastes, waste compounds which has disposed to the disposed. And then we have called industrial waste, that industrial waste includes food processing, the waste comes from food processing industry, and the paper, the waste comes from paper industry and the textile industry, petroleum, chemical industry, then metal, cement, nuclear reactors, agricultural waste, radioactive substances and municipal waste. These are all the different waste molecules which are generated from different source of source. They will be finally accumulated in the finally disposed into the environment. So, that makes a lot of difficulty to maintain or to sustainable growth of this environment. Okay. So, this solid waste is basically a solid or a semi solid. It may be a solid or sometimes it will be semi solid generated from the various source. Remember, the very important point is here, 960 million ton solid waste generated in India. 960 million ton solid waste generated in India, out of which only 68% is collected and 28% is treated by municipal authorities. 28% is treated by municipal authorities. Remember, here the difference is huge. The difference is huge here. What difference is here? See, 68% is collected and remaining 28% is only in that 68% only 28% is treated, means almost 50% of waste we are not treated and it is disposing into the environment. Almost 50% of the 960 million, in that 960 million if you consider, it will be around 430 millions, 430 or 450 million ton we are just throwing into the environment every year. We are just throwing into the environment every year. So, this is the biggest problem which we have today. That is why solid waste management is the very essential in order to keep our soil, water, air in a proper way. In order to keep our soil, air and water in a very conducive way or very safe way, then we have to manage this waste properly, very properly we have to manage this waste. So, how do we manage it? What are the strategies to manage this one? So, basically we have got solid waste management, certain technologies which have certain processes which we have. So, those processes are generally used for managing this solid waste in order to mitigate the solid waste. So, if we see, for example, we have one such method is called composting unit. We can make composting unit for organic waste. In that we have called aerobic composting with bacteria, anaerobic composting with limited bacteria, and vermicomposting with using some worms. So, these are the simple composting unit. By establishing simple composting unit for organic matter, for organic waste. Organic waste is nothing but agriculture waste, or the what we call in our household domestic waste. So, those the vegetable waste, household domestic waste, those which are basically organic. So, such waste can be we can establish some composting unit. It may be aerobic or anaerobic or vermicomposting. Such method we can able to make a good manure with this establishing this composting unit. Then we have another called biomethanation. Biomethanation means it's just like a production of biogas. When we dump all the organic waste into some pit where it has been closed, and if you limited the supply of this bacteria, with that we can able to generate where some methane gas is generated, and that can be used as biofuel as well. So that is one more strategy to just handle the solid waste, how we can better we can manage the solid waste. Then another process is called incineration. Incineration is also, it is a technology, is a very important method by which we can which we can able to almost 50% of the waste can be combusted. We can just burn it with limited supply of oxygen. We can burn it with a limited supply of oxygen, and we can reduce it to the half. And so here the only thing is that incineration is very important method, but at the same time we need some sort of technology for this one. Means just a technology, a automated technology we require. So if this technology is applied, we can able to manage at least 50% of the waste can be managed with this particular incineration process. Means we are burning all the whatever the non-organic substances which we have, non-organic waste, solid waste what we have. This non-organic solid waste we can able to just burn in a limited supply of oxygen, and we can use that, we can further that burnt molecules will be processed for making something else. So that can be done with the incineration. And there is another process called pyrolysis. Pyrolysis means what we are doing, we are transforming solid waste into a liquid waste and liquid waste into gaseous waste. Solid to liquid, liquid to gaseous. This process can be done with the help of pyrolysis there, and this is also a process called here in this process we can also produce the energy. We can also produce the a good amount of energy can be produced with this particular process, pyrolysis. Solid waste will be converted into liquid waste will be converted into gaseous form. Here you may get the question that what is pyrolysis? Means conversion of solid waste to liquid waste to gaseous waste, or you may be confused that liquid is converted into the solid is converted to gases, like that it will be converted, and just a different way the question is framed, and you will maybe ask the question that what is based on the pyrolysis process. Okay. So that is one there we have to remember that pyrolysis means we have to convert the solid waste into the liquid waste, from the liquid waste to the gaseous waste, gaseous form. Okay. This process is also in this process we can also generate a lot of energy. This energy can be used for the domestic purpose. Then another method is called landfill. Landfill means what we are doing, burying of wastes in the soil. Means we have to make a big pots we have to make, or big pits we have to make, basically big pits we have to make. There we have to dump all the materials which we want to make it, which we want to bury there, and which we want to allow for degradation there. And then what we have to do, we have to keep a we have to put some layer of soil. On the soil we have to put this tree plantation should be there. But this is there, but here the lot of limitation is there. Sometimes what happens, it may be some the poisonous gas may come out from this process from the inside the earth. So poisonous gases that may lead to the pollution, air pollution, and other health hazards can be maybe predicted with that. So therefore these are all kind of they are using it, but with careful and with very systemic way, with technology we have to make this landfills. And of course it has been not regularly followed, but somewhere it has been followed in India, some in the big metro cities, and there some it is followed. Then we have got another process called methanogenesis, where the production of methanes by microbes, that also can be used for as a solid waste management technology for for maintaining by reducing the solid waste. Then we have rag pickers. Rag pickers are there. They are basically they are very important. They play a very important role in segregation of wastes. Their role is important, and they segregate the different waste, plastic waste, organic waste, non-organic waste, metallic waste, like that. They will separate the waste, and they help for the maintain this particular process, that is a solid waste management. And leachate, the discharge mix of to groundwater leads to the groundwater pollution. See, the leachate is one more process where what happens when we put all these materials in the soil, and the leachate will go inside the soil, and there it may reach to the groundwater, and groundwater will get polluted. So, this is one leachate is also be done, but leachate leads to this is the problem. And then sensitization, community participation is very, very important. The community participation is very, very important, because if the community participation is there, then only we can able to reduce all the e-waste in a very systematic way. If, for example, everybody, every community or NGOs or any individual, if they are sensitized towards the management of solid waste management, a small unit can be kept in their house, so that they can all the organic waste whatever they get day to day, they can be converted into the manure. They can be converted into simple organic manure, and which can be used for their gardening, or for their any they can give it to the some municipalities, so that they use for something else. So, that process can be done, and that has to be sensitized to all the population, all the gardening communities, so that they can have a small vermicomposting unit in their house, very small, it's a small scale can be available, and it is systematic methods are available today, and systematic designed setups are there, with which we can able to produce the very good manure also. So, here one way we are producing the manure, another way we are managing the solid waste. So, and then bioremediation is a very important process. Here bioremediation is we use certain microbes, to degrade all environmental pollutants. We use certain microbes by which we can able to degrade the environmental pollutants, like many bacteria will be used to degrade chromium, or many bacteria will be used to degrade the oil. Many bacteria are specifically used to convert from one form of metal to the other form of metals, or metal associated metal associated compounds. So, this way many organisms like microbes, algae, fungi, and these organisms can be used for the bioremediation process. Then what is the limitation of the solid waste management? The limitation is that absence of effective segregation, and lack of financing, lack of technical expertise, and lack of proper awareness to the community. You may get the question, what is the limitations of solid waste management? The limitation is absence of effective segregation we do not have, lack of financing is there, lack of technical expertise is there, and no proper awareness to the community. So, that the community is not participating in the in effective manner in the process of removal of this all, so the process of management of waste. There is one more report called the Kasturirangan report, and in associated with the Erstwhile Planning Commission of India. Erstwhile Planning Commission of India means former Planning Commission of India, it is now Niti Ayoga. So, that as per the Niti Ayoga or Planning Commission of India, they suggested to adopt some some principles. Basically, they called as 5 R's. They called as 5 R's. The 5 R's means what? Reduce, reuse, recover, recycle, and remanufacture. Reduce, reuse, recover, recycle, and remanufacture. So, these are the 5 R's being suggested by Kasturirangan report as well as the Erstwhile Planning Commission of India. So, if you follow this thing, if you reduce it, definitely it will be reduced. Reuse it, definitely it will be to extent it will be reduced. Recover, then recycle, then remanufacture. So, is all recycling, remanufacturing of same material, same resources to produce the new goods. So, if we follow this, if we follow these 5 R's, definitely we can able to reduce the environmental pollutions by managing the solid waste. Then we have called liquid waste. Liquid waste is a liquid waste means the liquid waste are waste water, oils, grease, used oil, liquid waste released from the various sources. So, this is the liquid waste. Now, even some certain amount of liquid waste is coming from domestic also. Domestic also certain liquid waste is coming. So, these are liquid waste. How do the liquid waste management, how it will be accomplished? Basically, liquid management will be dilution with oxygen. When you dilute the oxygen, there will be hydrolysis process will be there. When we dilute with oxygen, oxidation will be there, and the complex material will be degraded into small. Complex material will be degraded into small. So, dilution with the oxygen is one of the method to manage the liquid waste. Then we have mechanical treatment. Mechanical treatment with we have a mechanical setup. In this mechanical setup, we have several filters and several devices are there. These several filters and several devices will going to filter certain solid liquid waste, and thereby different steps will be taken, and ultimately we release the non treated liquid into the river or any water source. We will be releasing in the treated and suitable, and the good quality means a better quality discharge can be released. Okay. Then biological treatment, trickling filters where biological treatments can be done, where trickling filters will be there with a different set of bacteria which can degrade the different biological compounds that can be used. That is other method for managing liquid waste. Then precipitation also be done. Precipitation is other method. Precipitation means ಅದನ್ನು ಸೊ ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಒಂದು ಪ್ರೆಸಿಪಿಟೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಆ ಒಂದು ಬೇರೆ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರು ಒಂದು ಪ್ರೆಸಿಪಿಟೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಏಜೆಂಟ್ ಹಾಕಿದಾಗ ಅದು ಎಲ್ಲ ರೀತಿಯಿಂದ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿರುವಂಥ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರೆಸಿಪಿಟೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಸಪ್ರೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸಪ್ರೇಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಬೈಫರ್ಕೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೋದು. ದೆನ್ ಅಡ್ಸಾರ್ಪ್ಷನ್ ವಿ ಯೂಸ್, ಆಸ್ಮೋಸಿಸ್ ವಿ ಯೂಸ್. ಅಡ್ಸಾರ್ಪ್ಷನ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಅಡ್ಸಾರ್ಬಿಂಗ್ ಏಜೆಂಟನ್ನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಸಪೋಸ್ ಚಾರ್ಕೋಲ್ ಇಸ್ ಅನ್ ಅಡ್ಸಾರ್ಬಿಂಗ್ ಏಜೆಂಟ್. ಅಡ್ಸಾರ್ಪ್ಷನ್ಗೆ ಕೆಲವು ಕಂಪೌಂಡ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕ್ತೀವಿ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಟಾಕ್ಸಿಕ್ ಮೆಟಲ್ಸ್ ಆಗಲಿ ಹೆವಿ ಮೆಟಲ್ಸ್ ಆಗಲಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಅಬ್ಸಾರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಒಂದು ಇದು ಏನು ವಾಟ್ರಲ್ಲಿ, ಆ ಒಂದು ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಟೆಡ್ ವಾಟ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಲಿಕ್ವಿಡ್ ವೇಸ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರೂ ಒಂದು ಕಂಪೌಂಡನ್ನು ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರೂ ಒಂದು ಅಡ್ಸಾರ್ಬಿಂಗ್ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ನಾವು ಹಾಕಿದಾಗ ಅದು ಹೀರ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಆ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ನಾವು ಆಚೆ ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಸೊ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಏಬಲ್ ಟು ಡೂ ಇಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ಯುವಲಿ. ಸೊ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಒನ್ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್. ಅಡ್ಸಾರ್ಪ್ಷನ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ strategy used for the liquid waste management. Then osmosis will be used. Osmosis means movement of water from higher concentration to the lower concentration. So osmosis also a method where we can able to separate or filter out the waste, liquid waste. Then chemical oxidation, if you promote the chemical oxidation, there degradation of all chemicals can be seen, by which also we can certain extent we can manage the liquid waste. And removal of ammonia is also one method to manage the liquid waste effectively. Then biomedical waste management. Biomedical waste management is another strategy by which because since the biomedical wastes are very important. Why? Because the biomedical wastes which some are hazardous and some are non-hazardous. Okay, so the biomedical waste which is generated from different industry, different institutions, hospitals. So whatever the waste which is generated in the those entity, in which around 10 to 25% is hazardous and remaining will be non-hazardous. Okay, so this biomedical waste, how we have to manage this one? How we have to manage means there is a WHO guidelines, World Health Organization guidelines is there, which has been the first guidelines which is given in 1999, where it published a book called the Blue Book of to manage the biomedical waste management, and then successively in the second edition in 2014 it published, as per this blue book guidelines, the hospital waste or the biomedical waste has to be managed, strictly it has to be managed. So, here regarding this biomedical waste management, there are certain international convention and agreement which took place in the in this different time period, where one is called Basel Convention of Hazardous Waste, another is called Stockholm Convention, the Stockholm Convention which took place for persistent organic pollutant and the chemical formed by interactions. So, what is, how we have to manage the persistent organic pollutant, at the same times the chemical formed by the interaction, how we have to manage this one. This has to be in this particular convention, this has been discussed and decided. Then another convention where the Minamata Convention on Mercury, the Minamata Convention on the Mercury means phasing out of certain materials, phasing out of certain toxic materials, certain heavy metals or certain toxic materials in the medical equipments ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯಿಂದ hazardous metals ಅನ್ನು ಅಥವಾ hazardous chemicals ಅನ್ನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬಾರದು ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಉದ್ದೇಶದಿಂದ ಈ ಒಂದು ಕಾನ್ಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದರು, ಮಿನಾಮೋಟಾ ಕನ್ವೆನ್ಷನ್ ಆನ್ ಮರ್ಕ್ಯುರಿ. ಸೊ ಆಸ್ ಪರ್ ದಿಸ್ ಮಿನಾಮೋಟಾ ಕನ್ವೆನ್ಷನ್ ಆನ್ ಮರ್ಕ್ಯುರಿ, ದೇ ವಾಂಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಫೇಸ್ ಔಟ್ ದಿ ಮರ್ಕ್ಯುರಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಅದರ್ ಹೆವಿ ಮೆಟಲ್ಸ್, ಕ್ರೋಮಿಯಂ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಲೆಡ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಅವೆಲ್ಲ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ಸನ್ನು ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಲಿಮಿಟೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಒಂದು ಎಲ್ಲನೂ ಫೇಸ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ತೆಗೆದಾಕ್ಬಿಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಅದನ್ನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು ಮುಂದಿನ ದಿನಗಳಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಆ ರೀತಿ ಒಂದು ಉದ್ದೇಶದಿಂದ ಈ ಕನ್ವೆನ್ಷನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದರು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟು ಹೌ ಡು ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ ದಿಸ್ hazardous waste. hazardous waste ಇದಾವೆ. hazardous waste ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದೋಸ್ hazardous waste? We have basically components of electronic waste, the cadmium, lead and PVC sitting on cables, cadmium, lead and PVC sitting on the cables. cadmium, lead ಇವು ಹೆವಿ ಮೆಟಲ್ಸು, ಅವು ಹಜಾರ್ಡಸ್ಸು, ಅವು ನಮಗೆ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಹಜಾರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ತವೆ. I think in the previous class I told that what causes the cadmium, what causes the lead and what causes the chromium. Those things I discussed in the previous class. In the pollution, what happens when the lead concentration is increases in the water, or what happens when the cadmium concentration is exposed continuously. So different diseases may occur, may come when we expose more and more continuous exposure of this person to these heavy metals. Then we have household chemicals like we use oftenly the bleach, oven, cleaners, turpentine, paints. So those also a very what do you call, like those we use domestically for cleaning and all other purposes, and those are releasing into the environment. They may also cause they are also hazardous chemicals. And then we have another called nanoparticles used in household applications. Means many nanoparticles based household applications we have, like zinc in zinc based nanoparticles are used for something like painting and some cosmetics purpose it will be used. Titanium, cosmetics, so ee riti chemicals, ee riti ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಮೆಟಲ್ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ನಾನೋ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಕಂಬೈನ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂಥ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ಸನ್ನು ನಾವು ಹೌಸ್ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಅದು ದೋಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಎನ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೇ ಕಾಸಸ್ ದಿ ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್. ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಇವು ಕೂಡ ಹಜಾರ್ಡಸ್ ವೇಸ್ಟನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ದೆನ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್. ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಏನು ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಇರಲಿ, ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಎಸ್ಟಾಬ್ಲಿಷ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಲಿ, ಆ ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಎಸ್ಟಾಬ್ಲಿಷ್ಮೆಂಟಿಂದ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ ವೇಸ್ಟಿಂದ ಅದೇನು ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್ ಬರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಆ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಮೆಜಾರಿಟಿ ಹೆವಿ ಮೆಟಲ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಹೆವಿ ಮೆಟಲ್ಸನ್ನು ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ದಟ್ ವಾಟರ್ ವೇರ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಕಮಿಂಗ್ ಫ್ರಮ್, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ದಿ ಸಾಯಿಲ್, ದೆನ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ದಿ ರಿವರ್ ಆರ್ ಸಾಯಿಲ್. Otherwise even the river is contaminated and soil is also get contaminated, and that leads to the different diseases to the humans. Then electronic waste generated by various sources. That we know that electronic waste is the in this particularly in this century we are using right from the beginning of this century, the electronic usage has been exponentially increased. The usage of electronics has been increased exponentially. Therefore management is also very management of this e-waste is also a concern. Therefore we have a guidelines called e-waste management rules in 2016 which in force. Accordingly that we have to manage the e-waste. Then there is one more term called toxic time bombs. Toxic time bomb means in every country, in different countries, what we do in different countries basically, in all those countries, this electronic waste are, they made a they used to make some pits in the soil, and there all the electronics goods or all electronics waste will be dumped in that, and it will be closed, and just some soil or some material will be there on the top layer, and just it will be there in the inside the soil. So what may happens, what is the prediction is that sometimes these electronic waste, they may release into a toxic gas by by some reactions within the soil, and they may be called as toxic time bomb. Sometimes explode it, sometimes they may explode. So that is why this toxic bombs has been created in many areas which we do not know when it will be explode. Okay. So as per this electronics guideline, that e-waste management rules 2016, that every industry or every industry which you are using the electronic goods has to be properly disposed by using these guidelines. This is about the waste management, where we have studied about the solid, liquid, and hazardous and the electronic waste and biomedical waste. So these are the different wastes, and how we have to manage these wastes we have studied now. Now let us go to the climate change. So as we know that climate change, in all the previous classes, somewhere wherever it where in the previous classes, I have one or two points I have told here and there. Okay, but here I will just elaborate it little bit. It is a long term change in average weather pattern. It may occur over a period of time. So it is not sudden occur. It will not be a sudden. It is a long term change in average weather pattern. It may occur over a period of time. So it will take some time to change the weather pattern. So here, and that process may take process may take 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, like that. It may take it's a different time period. Study of this changes, study of this climate changes is called paleoclimatology. This paleoclimatology is nothing but study of climatic changes. Climatic changes. The global warming is the progressive increase in the average temperature. What is this global warming means? The global warming is where the temperature is increasing 2, 3, 4 degrees Celsius. The average temperature is increasing, average temperature of the globe. If the average temperature of globe if increases 2 degree, it is a huge difference. It will create a huge difference. If the 2 degree of average temperature of this globe if increased, it may create a massive problem. It may create a massive problems. Therefore, the global warming is a progressive increase in the average temperature. This mainly due to the heat retaining greenhouse gases. Heat retaining greenhouse gases. Okay, we know that what are those greenhouse gases. In the previous classes I told that. Then what are the causes for climate change? Climate change may be caused by natural or by anthropogenic activities. Climate change may be caused by natural or anthropogenic activities. Natural means what are those causes? Maybe it may be one region is called continental drift, and another region may be volcanoes. Continental drift means the plates are going to be changed. The earth plates are moving, and they are moving, and they themselves they are stabilizing. They themselves stabilizing. So that continental drift will be there. That is that is also one of the reason for the climate change. And then in many places the volcanoes can be seen. And another reason is called earth tilt. 23.5 degree earth has been tilt. 23.5 degree earth has been tilt. So that makes some the earth tilt to the perpendicular to its plane of orbit. That makes certain weather changes are there, or climatic changes will be attributed. So and because of that, that is one of the natural reason attributed for the climate change. And then ocean currents, we have ocean currents which transfer vast amount of heat, ocean currents which transfers vast amount of heat into the environment. That makes the change in temperature, that makes the change in global temperature. Okay, so that is also one of the natural reason for climate change. Then we have got anthropogenic activities. You know, we have studied in the first I think in the second class, we have studied what are the different anthropogenic activities which causes the global warming, that we have studied. You know, all kind of the vehicular pollution, you know, industrial pollution, agriculture pollution, all those things pollution they together, all together to consolidate the global warming process, Okay. What is the effect of this global warming? Global warming effect is that it may leads to the cyclonic storms, tornadoes may becomes, earthquake may becomes, so many cyclones may appear. Then loss of biodiversity can be seen. You know, if the weather changes are there, the whole biota can migrate to some other place, or some biota may disappear, or some species may disappear. So like this it may happen. So loss of biodiversity can be seen in the in future. If the same trend continues, same global warming trend continues, we may lose the biodiversity. Then rise in sea level, and you know, we can create small islands will be created, and even sometimes the small island will be submerged. So those things can be you know, if the temperature rises like this. The bleaching of coral reefs, the many oceans, many sea, there we have seen the coral reefs. Those coral reefs may themselves you know, that will be threat to this coral reefs, and they may disappear sometimes. Then what is the steps has to be taken to mitigate this problem? How we can able to tackle this global warming problem? See, definitely almost we have more than 200 countries as of now, almost 192 more than that countries which we have. These countries have to consolidately, they have to take an effort to, you know, to reduce the problems of global warming, means to reduce the reasons which are attributed for global warming. We have to act on those reasons very specifically and very precisely, especially this all developed nation. Especially this developed nation has to you know, support the underdeveloping countries in terms of technology, in terms of, you know, sustainable technologies. Those technologies has to be, you know, exchanged, so that it will be helpful to the developing nations. They reduce the pollutions, whatever the GHG we call as greenhouse gases, those releasing will be reduced. If it is reduced, definitely we can able to see certain extent the global warming can be reduced. Then for that we have called one of the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which is established Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change in 1998. That has taken a lot of steps to, you know, has making the step to mitigate this problem. Then United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, that UNFCCC, UNFCCC, this is established in 1992 under the UN at Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. The objective is to stabilize the production of GHGs, means greenhouse gases should be the production of this greenhouse gases should be stabilized. It should be a limit is fixed, accordingly that it has to be stabilized. Then we have got UN Action Plan on Agenda 21, UN Action Plan on Agenda 21 for Sustainable Development and Outcome of Earth Summit, which was held in the Rio, which has given a comprehensive blueprint of action that need globally, nationally and locally. That needs globally, nationally and locally. So these are the ones. Just I have three here I have given you. But in addition to that, the United Nations organization, the UNO, has taken a lot of steps to, you know, make some policies, programs for sustainable development, as well as management of natural disaster, as well as the management of global warming scenario. So In this way, the UNO is the making some policies, but the policies has to be effectively managed and effectively implemented by all the countries, so that the global climate change can be attained in a true spirit. Okay. So, this is about the climate change and the waste, different types of waste and their management, and this is about these are the topic which in my 4th session I have discussed. So, basically I have discussed on these different topics, as I said that, like in the first class I discussed about climate, peoples and climate. Then in the next class I discussed the sustainable development goals and millennium development goals, and then human and environment action interaction, where we have studied the different anthropogenic activity which makes the change in environment, and how these anthropogenic, how these humans interacted with environment, that we discussed in the previous class. And then we discussed about the different environmental issues, and then in that local, regional and global. Then we discussed different pollutions like air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution, noise, thermal, industrial pollution. So, those things we have discussed in the previous class. And then management of waste management. In this class we discussed about the waste management, where how to manage the solid management, liquid management, biomedical waste management, hazardous waste management, electronics waste management. Okay. And then we have discussed about the climate change and its socio-economic and political dimensions. So, human health, wherever in between my talks I have told about that, how this different metals and different different diseases are comes by excessive expose of a person with different concentration of metals, and their various diseases I have told there. But in addition to that, you can also have a look on that, you can also have a look on different microbial diseases, means viral diseases, bacterial diseases, especially in corona, especially in this COVID-19. So, what is the content of that COVID-19, whether it is a DNA or RNA, how it replicates, okay, how it come, then what kind of family it is, virus, and what is this transmission rate, from where how it transmits, whether it is a novel or it is just like the old one has got changed its specificity. So, like this corona related and HIV related, malaria related, dengue related, and then we have called chikungunya, such diseases we have to study, and how this disease will be viral diseases, bacterial diseases, and then the diseases basically due to some pollution, how those diseases are coming. So, these diseases we have to just look into it. Okay. Then so this is about my 4 classes I have discussed here. So, I thank all of us for listening this one, and I wish you all best, and especially I thank to Department of Journalism and all other faculty members who cooperated and who helped us to do these videos and other e-content material. Thank you very much. Thank you and all.
ಇಲ್ಲಿಯವರೆಗೆ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸ ನೀಡಿದ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಬಾಬು RL ಅವರಿಗೆ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸದೊಂದಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಭೇಟಿ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ.